Hey, welcome back to the channel, everybody. So today on this episode, we're going to talk about Ripple RLUSD, XRP, Chainlink, stablecoins, crypto as a whole, how it is changing and revolutionizing our financial infrastructure. In our past videos, we talked about stablecoins working with US Treasuries and stablecoins being backed up with US Treasuries to back up US Treasuries since they are collapsing, right? So if you're not aware, that is something that's happening. All around the world, there is a economic crisis happening that we are solving through cryptocurrency. This is that bigger picture. But a bigger picture from there is how they're going to need to settle these US Treasuries and how they need to clear these US Treasuries. And through this technology with RLUSD, with Ripple, with Chainlink, they are going to do that. I'm going to show you how Chainlink and Ripple are teaming up to solve this problem. So stick around to find out as I walk through how that's happening. But before I do, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and leave a comment down below and let me know where you're watching from. I actually have people watching from all around the world, so it's really fascinating to hear where you're from. So please drop a comment down below and let me know. And let's dive on in. Okay, so US Treasuries have a problem. They need to be able to be settled and cleared much quicker and more securely without failure. So when you saw the 2008 collapse, this is one of the problems. US Treasuries had a big problem. We really dropped the ball, as you saw, and the government is trying their best not to let that happen again. Well, we need a better clearing source. We need a better clearing house. Well, in this video, let's dive into a company called IceLink. Have you heard of IceLink? Let me know, because I would be surprised if very many people have heard of this company so far. So let's learn about IceLink and we'll go from there. So it says IceLink, innovative post-trade services for CDS, affirmation, novation, and clearing. IceLink is a post-trade connectivity and middleware application for the credit default swap CDS market. The app provides industry participants with electronic workflow and connectivity for real-time clearing, minimizing operational risk and cost while helping participants meet new regulatory clearing requirements. So hear that again on that last part, is to meet new regulatory clearing requirements. So what are they talking about? What are these new requirements? Well, right over here, you'll see from Paul Hamill. He is the Chief Commercial Officer of ICE Clear Credit. He kind of goes on to explain what's going on. So right here it says clearing of the U.S. Treasury securities begins in December 2026. ICE's clearing services is on schedule to launch before the end of 2025. Also at the end of 2025 is ISO 20022 compliancy. Do you see how these go together now? Now we have SWIFT being involved, central banks being involved. Let's keep reading. It says mandatory clearing is intended to make the Treasury market more resilient after several episodes of acute liquidity stresses in recent years. Put it nicely, some serious things happened. They don't want that to happen again, so they're solving that problem. The ICE US Treasury clearing platform is based on our proven credit derivatives clearing services and will offer users a high degree of customization in how they choose to clear. So from what I'm gathering with this IceLink, this seems to be the primary source that our US Treasuries are going to work with. But okay, I mentioned RLUSD, I mentioned Ripple and Chainlink. How does that come together? Well, I do have ties to IceLink or ICE with both companies. So stick around to find out more, because they've kind of unveiled this slowly throughout this year, hoping that nobody puts it together. Because if you're paying attention, it's quite obvious, right? So let's keep reading. It says 2026 promises to be a landmark year for U.S. Treasury securities, as the market often observed to be the deepest and most liquid in the world, prepares for the transition to mandatory clearing, central clearing. So mandatory central clearing is what their goal is. Follow along. It says U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission rules passed 2023 stipulate that most cash Treasury transactions are obligated to clear from December 31st, 2026, with Treasury repurchase agreements, repos, subject to subject to the mandate from June 30th, 2027, an estimated 4 trillion in daily transactions will move into clearing post-mandate. So they're talking about clearing $4 trillion daily. They don't want any kind of funds or money or messages, whatever you want to call it, being placed on the books. They want to clear them and move on so they can't have a collapse as we saw before. It says, although voluntary, the U.S. Treasury clearing has been available for many years. Utilization of such services has been limited, with most trades remaining bilateral. Existing Treasury clearing models are regarded as somewhat basic compared to the advanced portfolio risk management, immediate innovation, collateral segregation options, consumers reporting tools, and rigorous default management protocols that underpin clearinghouses for futures and over-the-counter OTC derivatives. ICE Clear Credits, pay attention, ICE Clear Credits is another name for this ICE link. Clearing services for credit default swaps, CDS, provides a market-leading solution in all these areas, as evidenced by our greater than 80% market share. So ICE Clear Credits, ICE Link, holds 80% market dominance. So think about how big of a number that is when we're talking about US Treasuries and clearing, right? So I want to finish up with that piece of it. I'm going to leave links in my descriptions down below so you can go and read the rest of it. There's more to this. Long story short, the US government needs to be able to settle US Treasuries. They have to settle US Treasuries through stablecoins on ISO 2002 compliant rails, right? Which we know Ripple is one. So let's keep on going. I actually found this from the SEC. It is the New York Stock Exchange self-regulatory organizations. Right here, you'll see. Essentially what this is saying, that they need to bring a third party in to do their clearing. And through this research with this led me to that ICE link. So New York Stock Exchange is preparing for the switch, just like many other companies. I can go down the list, but when you're looking for this, you're wanting to see who's all a part of it. All the major institutions and stock exchanges are doing this. So how does this tie to Ripple? How does this tie to Chainlink? Well, right here, you'll see this was released August 11th, 2025. I don't know if it got a lot of traction because, again, if you don't know about ICE, you probably go, oh, okay, cool. You might have moved on from this point. But it says, from Cointelegraph, NYSE parent ICE taps Chainlink to bridge Forex precious metals data on chain. So by that headline, it's not very thrilling. It didn't get a lot of people excited. But what you're seeing is a partnership with Chainlink, New York Stock Exchange, which is over ICE, right? So they are now in cahoots with each other, for lack of better terms. They are now working together. So now you have Chainlink tied to New York Stock Exchange that is tied to ICE. So do you see that trend so far? Okay, so you know Chainlink is with Swift, is a huge player in Swift, but how does this relate to Ripple? How does this relate to RLUSD? Well, right here, you'll see that ICE data services through CME Group, which you do know Ripple and CME Group are working together with their XRP futures. So again, you're seeing this partnership. And not only that, you have, and let's read right here, it says, before I move on to the next one, it says, ICE Data Services, or IDS, offers end-to-end solutions for real-time data, analytics, evaluated pricing, reference data, feeds, and connectivity. IDS provides extensive data from global exchanges and fixed income markets delivered in flexible and efficient formats. Our connectivity feeds and desktop solutions serve the demand for increased capacity for data. So you have CME Group, which is a clearinghouse, working with ICE Data Services already, that works with Chainlink, that works with Swift, that works with the NYSE. See how this all keeps on coming back, and it's all tied together, guys. This is not just a coincidence. They all just happen to be. Don't forget that RLUSD is actually paired with BNY Mellon. That's going to be important here in a second as I bring this full circle. Okay, so let's keep going. This is actually from Brad Garlinghouse on X. You'll see that he's just giving a shout out to CME Group, keeping that keeping that vibe alive, right? It says per CME Group data, XRP future contracts were the fastest ever, just over 3 months, to hit $1 billion in open interest. Again, CME Group is doing wonders with XRP futures already. They are doing a great job, and people are very much interested in XRP. Okay, so we're talking about Chainlink and Ripple. If you're not aware, Chainlink and Ripple are not two opposing parties or not two opposing forces. They are one force working together to solve this problem. As you've heard over and over again, Brad Garlinghouse himself always says there's not going to be just one token to rule them all. They all have to work together. He's giving you a hint right there. So listen when they're talking, right? So right over here from Ripple, this is actually their page. It says Ripple is now leveraging the Chainlink standard to bring high quality pricing data around the Ripple USD, which is RLUSD, stablecoin on chain. RLUSD is an enterprise grade USD denominated stable coin created with trust, utility, and compliance at its core, backed by Ripple's years of experience working with crypto and the existing financial system. By adopting the Chainlink standard for verified data on the Ethereum blockchain, Ripple is enhancing the utility of RLUSD across the on-chain economy. So right here, they're telling you, hey, Chainlink is not my competition. They are helping us. We are partners. So Chainlink, Ripple, partners, partnered with Swift, partnered with BNY Mellon, with New York Stock Exchange, with ICE, with Swift. The list keeps going. All these clearinghouses are working together with these two main sources, with Ripple and Chainlink. But why do you only hear Chainlink? I feel like, in my opinion, they are holding Ripple XRP down because, as you know, when they always tell you look over here, they're really doing something over here. Just as you've heard me a time with BlackRock and JP Morgan tell you Bitcoin's not going anywhere. It's a scam. It's used for money laundering. Don't buy it. Get out of it. Stay away from crypto. Now look at them being one of the biggest holders. BlackRock's what, the second biggest holder outside of Satoshi? So they're telling you these things to kind of distract you. And that's why I just don't believe that Ripple isn't a much bigger player, especially when you see all their ties. They have their tentacles in every major organization out there. They are going to be a much bigger player. They're kind of like a sleeper cell, in my opinion. Okay, so let's talk about the clearinghouses. What other clearinghouses are there? Well, let's talk right here about BNY Mellon. So BNY Mellon has the Treasury Service Division, provides global payments, liquidity management, and trade finance services, helping clients manage cash flows and move money worldwide. So BNY Mellon is another clearinghouse with CME Group. So now you have ties with BNY Mellon through RLUSD. Then you have CME Group ties with Ripple and XRP. You see how this is going together? It says innovation collaborates with fintechs and major institutions like Verizon and Citi to offer real-time e-bills and payments. It was the first U.S. bank to implement Swift Go for cross-border payments, enhancing efficiency. It says impact supports global financial connectivity, enabling banks and businesses to optimize cash flow and reduce operational risks. So right here, they're laying it out to you again. BNY Mellon, very tightly working with Swift Go. You have Ripple RLUSD being custodial by BNY Mellon. You have the U.S. Treasuries needing stable coins to back up U.S. Treasuries and to settle U.S. Treasuries. So you have RLUSD being a major player, although they haven't really said it yet. They have set the stage for this to take over. And Brad himself has said they're going to be the top 5 stablecoin by the end of 2025. Now, do you see, this is just me spitballing here at this point, do you think USDT Tether, since Bo Hines is there, Bo Hines was tied to the administration is very tied to Ripple. Do you see USDT getting an acquisition by Ripple at some point? I wouldn't be surprised to see that personally, but that's just my personal opinion. Let me know in the comments what you think, but that's just my personal opinion. So let's keep going about BNY Mellon. Why is this a bigger player? You are seeing Ripple take the reins from the Fed. You're seeing Ripple take the reins from people like JP Morgan. And as you can see, why JP Morgan was very upset when he found out people were buying Bitcoin or crypto. And he told his staff they better not be doing that. Because right here, you'll see from February 17th of 2022, it's an older story, but it's an important story. It says, BNY Mellon poaches Treasury Service CEO from JP Morgan. It says, dive brief. BNY Mellon has appointed Jennifer Barker, formerly an executive of JP Morgan, as CEO of its Treasury Service business, according to a press release published Wednesday. Barker, who most recently served as head of client service and implementation of wholesale payments at JP Morgan, will take charge of the BNY Mellon unit May 2nd and become a member of the bank's executive committee. So you have a official from JP Morgan switching over to BNY Mellon to be the CEO of Treasury, which the Treasury Department settles treasuries and clearing. So you see how this comes together. Ripple is taking over the financial system using a partner like Chainlink to make it happen. But Chainlink is the one they put forward as Ripple operates in the back end, just as a lot of shadow entities operate in the back end until you shine some light on them and you see that bigger picture, which I hope I did right here in this video. So if you found some information in this video valuable, hey, drop a like, a comment, a subscribe, it'd be much appreciated. That's all I have on this video for you today. But hey, until then, take care of yourself, take care of the people around you, and be that change you want to be. Let's change this world for the better. And I will see you on the next one.